This story begins with a very important event, a speech that changed the world. It was the year 1095. Pope Urban II, the leader of the Catholic Church, stood in a big field in France. Many people gathered to hear him speak. He shouted a powerful message: God wills it. These two words created a wave of strong feelings among the crowd. People became very excited, filled with a great desire to act. This strong feeling started a long time of wars. These wars, known as the Crusades, would continue for 200 years. Many thousands of people would leave their homes to go to war in a far-off land. But we must ask, why would so many people leave their everyday lives? Why did thousands of ordinary people, like farmers and poor workers, and even powerful nobles and trained knights, choose to leave their families and lands? They decided to walk thousands of miles into unknown dangers. Most of them knew they might face almost certain death. What was the reason behind this huge movement of people towards a distant city called Jerusalem? At that time, Europe was not a single united place. It was made up of many small kingdoms and lands, each with its own ruler, and often fighting with its neighbors. There was no single strong central power. The Middle East was also not united. It was a collection of different groups and empires, such as the Seljuk Turks and the Fatimid Caliphate, who often had conflicts among themselves. These divisions in both regions played a role in the coming wars. In Europe, many Christians felt a deep worry about their souls. They believed they had committed sins and feared what would happen after death. The Church taught them that fighting in a holy war could wash away these sins. Pope Urban II offered a great promise. If they joined this holy journey and fought for Jerusalem, God would forgive all their sins. This promise of forgiveness was very powerful. It gave people hope and a strong reason to join. They believed they were answering a direct call from God to fight for the Holy Land. This was the start of a long and often bloody period. People went to fight because of a moving speech, a great promise, and a very strong belief in God. 2. The First War. After Pope Urban II called for war, not only trained soldiers wanted to go. Thousands of common people, like farmers and townsfolk, joined the journey. A man called Peter the Hermit led many of them. They were not ready for such a long and hard trip. They left early, even before the main armies. On their way through Europe, they often had little food. Sometimes they fought with local people and attacked Jewish communities. When they reached lands controlled by the Byzantine Empire, they continued to loot, which angered Emperor Alexius I. He moved them across the water to Anatolia. There, a strong Muslim leader named Kilij Arslan I attacked them. Most of these people were killed in a terrible battle. Only a few, including Peter the Hermit, survived. Soon after, the real armies of knights and nobles began their travel. These were trained fighters, led by important men like Godfrey of Bouillon and Bohemond of Toronto. They were more organized than the first groups. With help from the Byzantine army, they captured the city of Nicaea. Then they marched towards the great city of Antioch in Syria. The journey was long and difficult. One leader, Baldwin of Bouillon, left the main group. He went to the city of Edessa and, with local support, created the first Crusader state there. Back at Antioch, the main Crusader army started a very long siege. It began in October 1097. Inside the city, the The walls were strong. Outside, the Crusaders faced hunger and sickness. Many soldiers died or left because of the hard conditions. They were trapped between the city's strong defenses and a new Muslim army coming to help Antioch. This army was led by a general named Kerboga. Just when things looked worst, the Crusaders found a way into Antioch. They took the city after much fighting, killing many of its people. Then, in June 1098, they had to fight Kerboga's large army outside the city. Even though they were tired and few, they managed to win. This victory was a great boost to their spirit. After securing Antioch, the Crusaders rested. The summer heat was bad, and many were sick. But they still wanted to reach their main goal, Jerusalem. In November, they began their final march. They arrived at Jerusalem, which was then held by a Fatimid Muslim governor, in June 1099. The siege of Jerusalem was very hard. The city had strong walls. The Crusaders built big towers to get over the walls. On July 15th, they finally broke into the city. The conquest was very violent. The Crusaders killed almost everyone inside Jerusalem. They looted houses and holy places. Godfrey of Bouillon was chosen as the first Western ruler of Jerusalem. A short time later, a large Egyptian army came to take Jerusalem back. But the Crusaders, though few, fought and won the Battle of Ascalon. With Jerusalem taken and their holy promise kept, most of the Crusaders went home. They left a few soldiers to guard the new Crusader states. This bloody victory set the stage for many more wars to come in the Holy Land. 50 years after the First Crusade, European leaders decided a new campaign was needed. This became the Second Crusade. King Louis VII of France and his wife, Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, were powerful leaders. Emperor Conrad III of Germany also joined. These rulers had large armies. Still, despite their strength, this crusade completely failed. The main reason for this war was the fall of Edessa, a Crusader state. In 1144, a strong Muslim leader named Zengi captured it. He killed many Frankish people. News of this reached Europe, causing great concern. Pope Eugenius III called for a new crusade. Bernard of Clairvaux, a famous church leader, preached about it, inspiring many nobles to join. Zengi was a determined Muslim ruler who wanted to unite Muslim lands. After his death, his son, Nur al-Din, continued this goal. Nur al-Din was a capable leader. He expelled the last Christians from Edessa and made a crucial alliance with Damascus. Nur al-Din worked to bring all of Muslim Syria under his control. He made reconquering Jerusalem a central aim of his holy war, strengthening Muslim forces against the Crusader states. The journey for the Second Crusade was very hard. The German army, led by Emperor Conrad, marched through Anatolia. Local Muslim forces attacked them often. Many German soldiers died, and the army was badly defeated at Dorylaeum. Conrad was wounded but escaped. The French army, with King Louis and Queen Eleanor, faced similar problems. Their long march meant many soldiers were lost to hunger, disease, and constant raids. When they reached the Holy Land, they joined Conrad. Together, they decided to attack Damascus in 1148, a wealthy, well-defended city. The siege of Damascus was a disaster. The Christian armies could not work together. There was much disagreement and mistrust among the French, German, and local Crusader leaders. They argued over battle plans. With strong Muslim armies from Nur al-Din approaching, The Crusaders knew their position was hopeless. Their divisions forced them to retreat without capturing Damascus. This major failure, despite powerful monarchs, weakened the idea of crusading for years. 4. The Great Loss. A powerful new leader rose in the Middle East. His name was Saladin, a Kurdish general. He worked to unite the Islamic world, bringing Egypt and Muslim Syria under his control. Saladin saw the Christian Crusader states as an enemy. He wanted to push them out of the Holy Land. For many Muslims, he was a hero. For the Crusaders, he became a strong foe. A truce, a peace agreement, was in place between Saladin and the Crusaders, but Renaud of Chatillon, a Crusader lord, broke it. In early 1187, he attacked a Muslim trade caravan. Saladin became very angry. He quickly gathered his large army from across his empire and prepared for war. The Crusader army, led by King Guy of Jerusalem and Raymond III of Tripoli, began to fight. They marched for a long time in the hot summer sun. The soldiers were tired and, most importantly, very thirsty. Their leaders made a poor decision, leading them away from water. On July 4, 1187, Saladin's army met the Crusaders at Hattin. It was a terrible defeat. Weak from thirst, the Crusaders could not fight well. Many were killed or captured. Saladin executed Renaud of Chatillon and the Knights Templar and Hospitaller, but he spared other leaders, including King Guy. After this great loss at Hattin, the Crusader kingdom had almost no soldiers left to defend itself. Many Christian towns and castles quickly fell to Saladin's forces. The way to Jerusalem was open. Saladin marched on the Holy City. On October 2, 1187, after a 12-day siege, Jerusalem surrendered to Saladin. This time, there was no terrible massacre like when the Crusaders took the city in 1199. Saladin allowed many Christians to leave safely. He showed respect for holy sites for all religions. This was very different from the earlier capture of Jerusalem. The Christian world was shocked by this great loss. Their holy city was again in Muslim hands. This big event prepared the way for a new, very famous crusade as Europe made ready to fight back. 5. Richard and Saladin. After Jerusalem fell, Christian leaders in Europe felt a deep shock. Pope Gregory VIII called for a new holy war to reclaim the city. This became known as the Third Crusade. 3 powerful kings answered his call: Emperor Frederick I of Germany, King Philip II of France, and King Richard I of England, known as Richard the Lionheart. However, Emperor Frederick I, a mighty ruler, never reached the Holy Land. On his long journey, he tragically drowned in a river before he could join the fight. This was a sad and unexpected loss for the Crusaders. King Richard and King Philip arrived later. They brought their armies to the city of Acre, which was held by Saladin's forces. The siege of Acre was long and very difficult. Soldiers fought fiercely for many months. At last, in July 1191, the city fell to the Crusaders. After this victory, King Richard made a very harsh decision. He ordered the killing of thousands of Muslim prisoners. This act made the conflict between the two sides even more bitter. Soon after, King Philip II of France decided to leave the Holy Land. He was ill and faced problems back in France, so he sailed home, leaving Richard the Lionheart to lead the crusade alone. Richard now faced Saladin, a strong and respected Muslim leader.
Their armies clashed in several battles. Richard won an important victory at the Battle of Arsuf, and later secured the city of Jaffa. However, despite his courage and skill, Richard could not capture Jerusalem. Richard knew he could not stay in the Holy Land forever, as he had his own kingdom to rule back in England. In September 1192, he and Saladin agreed to a peace treaty, known as the Treaty of Jaffa. This agreement allowed Christian pilgrims to visit Jerusalem safely, but the city itself would remain under Muslim control.
The Crusaders kept control of some coastal cities like Tyre and Jaffa. After the treaty, Richard left the Holy Land. But his journey home was not smooth. He was captured in Austria, a surprising twist after his long fight. The attack on friends. Pope Innocent III wanted a new crusade in 1198. This was the Fourth Crusade. The main plan was to go to Egypt to fight the Muslims there. Many important nobles joined, like Theobald of Champagne and Baldwin of Flanders. They needed many ships to cross the sea. So they made a deal with Venice, a rich city. Venice would build a big fleet for a lot of money. But when the time came, not enough crusaders arrived in Venice. Also, they did not have all the money they promised. The Venetians had spent a lot to build the ships and were angry. The leader of Venice, Doge Enrico Dandolo, had a new idea. He told the Crusaders they could pay their debt by attacking the city of Zara. Zara was a Christian city, and its king was also a crusader. This was a very strange request. The Pope told them not to attack Zara, but the Crusaders did not listen. They attacked and took the Christian city in November 1002. This was the first bad turn for the crusade. While at Zara, another offer came. A prince named Alexios Angelos asked for help. His father, Emperor Isaac II, had lost his throne in Constantinople, the greatest Christian city in the world. Alexios promised to give the Crusaders much money and troops if they helped him get his father back on the throne. Again, the Pope said no, but the Crusaders agreed. They changed their path again. In June 1203, the Crusaders reached Constantinople. They attacked the city. The emperor fled, and Isaac II and Alexios IV became emperors. But they could not pay the Crusaders all the money they promised. The Crusaders became angry and decided to take the city for themselves. In April 1204, they attacked Constantinople again. This time, they entered the city. The Crusaders caused terrible damage. They killed many people, stole great treasures, and destroyed holy places. They were supposed to fight Muslims, but instead they attacked and ruined a Christian city. The Byzantine Empire, a strong Christian land, was badly hurt and never truly got its power back. Greed for money and power had replaced their religious goal. The Fourth Crusade became a story of betrayal and destruction, not a holy war. 7. The Last Kings. The story of the Crusades continued with a strange turn. This was the Sixth Crusade, led by Emperor Frederick II. Frederick was a powerful ruler. He had promised to go on a crusade, but he became sick and had to return home. Because of this, the Pope, Gregory IX, removed him from the church. Frederick was now excommunicated, meaning he could not receive holy rites. However, Frederick still went to the Holy Land in 1228. Many Christian knights, including the Templars, refused to fight for an excommunicated leader. Frederick knew he could not win Jerusalem by force. Instead, he chose a different path. He spoke with the Muslim ruler, Sultan al-Kamil agreement. It gave Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and other important cities back to the Christians. But it also said that holy places for Muslims in Jerusalem, like the Dome of the Rock, would stay under Muslim control. This was a victory without fighting, a rare thing in the Crusades. Frederick even crowned himself king in Jerusalem, but the church did not celebrate this. They did not like that an excommunicated emperor had won Jerusalem by talking, not by blood. It was an ironic end to a long struggle. Years later, King Louis IX of France, known as Saint Louis, decided to lead the Seventh Crusade. He was a very religious king. In 1248, he took his army to Egypt. They captured the city of Damietta. The Crusaders then planned to march to Cairo, but the journey was very hard. The Nile River flooded, and Muslim forces attacked them constantly. During a battle, Louis's brother, Robert of Artois, led his soldiers into a trap. Many Christian knights were killed in the narrow streets of Al-Mansura. Soon, Louis and his remaining army were surrounded. They suffered greatly from hunger and sickness. In 1250, King Louis IX had to surrender to the Muslim army. He was captured, a huge blow for the Christian world. Louis was eventually released after a very large payment was made, and Damietta was given back to the Muslims. After this defeat, a new group of powerful warriors rose in Egypt, the Mamluks. These were fierce soldier slaves who now ruled the country. They were different from past Muslim leaders like Saladin. The Mamluks did not want to negotiate with the Crusaders. Their goal was clear: to drive all the Frankish Christians out of the Holy Land forever. This marked a new, harder time for the Crusader states. 8. The end of the story. The Mamluk leaders of Egypt and Syria had a strong goal: to remove the Franks from the Holy Land forever. The Mamluks were powerful warrior slaves who became rulers. Unlike earlier leaders, they would not make peace. The Mamluk Sultan, Baybars, began his plan to take Crusader castles and cities one by one. He was a fierce fighter. Starting in 1261, Baybars launched many attacks. He captured and destroyed Saint Simeon in 1262. He also took Nazareth and the suburbs of Acre in 1263. His systematic conquest continued. He seized and razed Caesarea, Haifa, and Arsuf, leaving them in ruins. He captured the strong fortress of Safed. By 1268, Jaffa, a key port, and Antioch, one of the first and most important Crusader cities, had also fallen under his control. Baybars's army often killed many Christians in these campaigns, showing no mercy. After Baybars, another Mamluk ruler named Calawun continued to push the Franks out. He captured more Crusader strongholds, like the Hospitallers' fortress of Margat and the city of Latakia. In 1289, the big city of Tripoli fell to his forces after a hard siege. This loss shocked people in Europe. They knew the end was near. Pope Nicholas IV sent money and ships to Acre, which was the last major Crusader city on the mainland. King Edward I of England also sent his soldiers to help defend it. But in 1291, Calawun's son, Halil, started the final, huge siege of Acre. Many Italian soldiers came to help, fighting bravely against the Mamluk army.
But on May 28, 1291, Acre finally fell. The last Templar knights, famous for their courage, fought until their death in the ruins. This marked the absolute end for the Crusader states in the Holy Land. The very last Frankish strongholds, like Chateau Pellerin, surrendered soon after, by August 14th. Thousands of Christians were killed or became slaves, while only a few managed to escape to the island of Cyprus. The Crusades left a very long and complex history. They created many national stories of heroism and sacrifice in Europe.
They also greatly changed trade routes, leading to new goods and ideas flowing between East and West. But for many, the Crusades also left deep wounds and a lasting feeling of distrust and anger between Christian and Muslim people, scars that continue even today. What do you think was the most important long-term change that happened because of the Crusades, good or bad?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.